I've had this old bandsaw kicking around for years. I bought it from a garage sale for $50. That included a drill press and a bench grinder. There's no table or guides on it, but I bought it mainly for the motor, which works fine. I don't need a small bandsaw because I already have one. I'll salvage the motor and the wheels, and then for this project I'm going to turn it into a cupboard to hang on the wall, and that will be home to regularly used tools for my new lathe. So anyway, let's start stripping down the bandsaw and hopefully turn it into something cool. I'll keep all of the pieces as spares for my other bandsaw. It's pretty much the same one, and I do actually need to replace the drive belt on it. I'll reuse the handle assembly, I just need to make some knobs for it. Now I need to trim everything off the back to leave it flush, including the base, and that's so I can fix it flat against the wall. And that's where it's going to live, right next to the lathe, and it should be pretty handy. I'll start preparing it, ready for painting, and I quite like the stickers on it, so I'll keep those on, but this main one obviously needs to go. I've decided to fill these gaps in where the blade used to come through, and that's just to fully enclose the cupboards. I'm just spotting the welds to avoid putting too much heat in and blowing through the thin steel. It's not the prettiest, but it's good enough, and it'll come out fine with some grinding and some filler. I'm excited to announce the Makers Mob annual 72-hour summer sale, where you can get your first full month all-access pass at almost zero cost. For just 99 cents inside the Makers Mob, you'll not only learn from my woodworking tutorials, but also get exclusive access to 80+ woodworking projects from YouTube's top makers like John Peters, The Samurai Carpenter, Liam Hoffman, Frank Howarth, John Hayes, and Jimmy DeResta, who now all have projects live inside the Makers Mob. If you're watching this video before the end of the 72-hour summer sale, then this offer is still available. Simply click the link in the description below and we'll all see you on the inside. Now that it's painted, I'll line the back panel of the cupboards and cover up all the holes, and I'm using a couple of pieces of marine ply offcuts from a past project. I'm planing a chamfer on the back edges to make clearance and allow for the welds in the corner of the cabinet. I'll leave the metal rail in the bottom cupboard and I may store something across that or even make a small shelf. The other panel is going to be tight to fit in one piece. I think I can do it, but I only get one chance. If I push it in now, it won't be coming out and I want to varnish it first and then glue it in. Now I can start arranging the tools that are going to live in here. The bottom cupboard will be home to my quick release tool holders, and the top cupboard will have my tools that I regularly use. The lathe is very new to me, so the tools may change, but these are what I've been using the most so far. I found this aluminium extrusion with a hook on it at the hardware store, and it will be perfect for hanging the tool holders on. I'm placing them so the tool holder sits off the bottom of the cabinet, allowing it to hang off the rail. There's enough room to fit 6 tool holders. I only have 4 for now, but that will grow for sure. When I have too many, I'll just choose which ones will go in here and I can store the rest in a drawer. Next, I'll make the tool holders for the top cupboard, starting with the drill chuck, and I'll make the bracket from aluminium angle. I actually made 2 of them exactly the same, and the other one is for the live center. An adjustable spanner is always handy, and for that I'll make a simple peg to hang it from. I'll keep the theme going using aluminium again. This is 6mm rod, and it's an excuse to use the lathe for the first time on video, even though I could have easily made it with hand tools. I'm drilling and threading a hole in one end so I can bolt the peg from the back of the cabinet. I'm filing a flat on it which won't quite reach the end when I cut it off. This will stop the wrench from slipping off the peg. It doesn't make a very deep stop, but it's all that's needed. I just need to remove the nub that's left on there, and I'll do that with it chucked up in the drill. If I had a collet chuck, I would have flipped it around and faced it off on the lathe. Next, I have this bracket that I made off camera. It's for a spanner. I just cut a section out of the extrusion that I showed earlier for the spanner to fit into. For the calipers, I made a couple more pegs, the same as the ones I made for the adjustable spanner. I made this small wooden block off camera to put a few Allen keys in. They're just cheap ones that came with the lathe, and I found a great little spot for them. And the last thing to do is cut a slot in this plastic cap, and that's for somewhere to put my chuck keys. I drilled a couple of mounting holes, one near the top of the post and one near the bottom, and I'll be able to get a screw on an angle through those holes and into the wall. Next, I need to make some knobs, as the original openers require the use of a screwdriver, which won't be practical at all. I need to replicate the fitted part of the opener so I can reuse the rest of the hardware. The knobs will need a knurl on them. I didn't have a knurling tool, so I made this one with a knurling wheel that I already had. I'm doing that now while there's still plenty of meat on the bar and less chance of it deflecting, and then I can work from there. It did a pretty good job and doesn't look too bad at all, although the pitch on the knurl is a bit coarse and not my favourite look. I'll definitely buy a new one, but this did its job and it put some functional knurls on. I never knew that a lathe would be this much fun. If you like making things and you don't already have one, I reckon you should put it on your wish list. Another tool I don't have is one for chamfering, so I made this one from an old drill bit and quickly made a holder. I'm not sure it's the best tool, and again I will buy a proper one, but it worked pretty well on aluminium and it did its job. I sanded the knurls down a bit too much, but overall I reckon it came out pretty well. Now I need to mill these flats on the end, and to hold it while I do that, I made this small block with a split in the one side. I needed 3 of them, and by the third one I did a much better job, mainly with the knurls, and I found by plunging the knurler in hard at the start it did a much better job. I did a few touch-ups even though it'll get knocked about and scratched up, which I'm fine with, but I thought I'd start with it fresh. The very last thing is fitting the switch, which I was going to place in there just for show, but then I decided to put it to use. I fitted an old LED video light over the lathe, and that's for both a work light and to help with filming. I also mounted it to a cheap tripod I had kicking around. I just removed a couple of the legs first. I reckon that finishes off the project nicely. Hopefully you like it. I'm thinking of making a cool vintage style drill index to go between the top and bottom cupboards, but not sure if I'd film that. Let me know if it's something you'd like to see or not. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.